Good morning. My name is Karel Coppock, and today I'm going to be leading us on a meditation on the fruit of the Spirit that is self-control. This is Paul's last fruit of the Spirit, and in some ways it is not the easiest to understand. What is self-control all about? What pops into my mind as I think about self-control are my wife's desserts. This week, she made a wonderful lemon sponge cake with a marvelous homemade strawberry sauce. It's hard to talk about because my mouth keeps filling up with water at the thought. Thankfully, she was there to restrain me because had I been all alone, I might have gone back for seconds or at least sliced a larger piece. Restraint when it comes to desserts is not my strong point. When it comes to self-control, food must also jump to the mind of the writer of Proverbs, because in chapter 25, verse 27, he writes, "It's not good to eat too much honey." It's obvious that he has a lot more in mind than food, however, because though he starts with honey, he moves quickly to something a lot more important. Nor, he adds, is it good to seek one's own honor. Like a city whose walls are broken down is a person who lacks self-control. Someone who eats too much honey, he implies, is akin to a person seeking their own honor. How so? The two are alike in this way. In both cases, they're putting their own wants, their own ego at the center of their lives and letting their immediate desires and vanity rule over them. They lack self-control. These people, the writer indicates, are like a city without walls. Walls, of course, are there to protect us from outside attacks. And though we don't build cities with walls anymore, we all understand the concept that in ancient times, a city without walls was a city vulnerable to attack. If a person has no walls to their emotional life, to their desires, any event, any temptation, any word can cause them to give way to anger, rash actions, wrong words, and temptations of all kinds. Anything can cause them to flare up or grasp what isn't theirs to have. They will succumb to any temptation showing up in their mind's eye. They will become, as Paul indicates in 2 Timothy 3, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, and he says without self-control. Because they will have placed themselves and their own immediate desires at the heart of their lives. Ethical philosophers for centuries have tried to help people get over the hurdle of these imperious, self-centered emotions. But what most of us find is that we need another resource than philosophy. What we really need is someone whose love can come in and fill the void otherwise occupied by our own self-centered egos, to give the crown of our lives to another and submit ourselves to his loving presence, a presence that turns us outward rather than inward and protects us from ourselves. I'm reminded of an Englishman named Graham Seed. We have a copy of his testimony in book form in our Alpha book table. Graham Seed grew up a violent young man. He was a robber, a football hooligan, meaning that he loved instigating riots at soccer matches. He was an alcoholic, a drug addict, in and out of jail for a good part of his young life. Nothing filled the void that his own emotional demands craved. Finally, having just been released to jail yet once more on a public bench one day, he attempted to end his life. For 6 days, he was in a coma. The doctors asked permission of his mother to pull the plug. As she was trying to decide, a young Christian came in and prayed for him. Graham immediately woke up. He said he felt like something had changed, and it had. Jesus had come in to dwell. His self-centeredness was replaced with caring for others. He started a ministry called Sowing Seeds, and he now travels the country visiting prisons, schools, and churches, working closely with the community to aid offenders, ex-offenders, and families to a better way of life. His out-of-control life, a life without walls, has been replaced with a wall of Christ's loving presence around his heart. Obviously, for most of us, Christ's presence will not take as dramatic a turn. Most will have times, nevertheless, in which they struggle to submit to him. I know I do. Nevertheless, as we daily invite the Spirit of Christ into our lives and practice the disciplines that draw us to him, something will change for us. We will find our lives gradually coming more and more into the control of someone whose nature is reaching out in love to others rather than trying to feed his own vanity. May each of us experience that spirit of love and self-control today. Amen.